Let's go, boys. It's the Meatlock. You see the text, but real quick, shout out to our latest subs, One Shot Pro 69 and Tomas Borak. Appreciate you grilling and chilling with the boys. And it's Meat Boy MMA history in this one, Meat. It's a Meatlock, and it's the first ever underdog Meatlock because we are absolutely bullish on the homie Mamba, Jacob Malkoun, at 6-2, who is 2-2 in the UFC. Didn't have a beautiful debut, right? Got absolutely smoked by Megatron. One of the worst UFC debuts in company history. 18 seconds. He was asleep on the canvas, but you got to give Malkoun his credit in that he recovered pretty nicely, right? A great win as an underdog against Abdul Razak Al Hassan in a fight where everyone thought he was dead to rights. He was a significant underdog, and he came out there and absolutely smoked Abdul Razak. And then after that, got an easy work finish over AJ Dobson, and then most recently, he did lose, but you might argue his most impressive and the loss against Brendan Allen that happened just in June recently. A lot of people thought Jacob Malkoun should have got the W in that one as well. So we know him as a grinder. He's trying to get hella takedowns. He's a dude who can mix it up well, but is for sure trying to get this thing to the mat. But he's taking on Nick Maximov, who is 8-1 and obviously a wrestler himself. We know he's training with the NDA, Nick Diaz Army, and he has that wrestling background, having participated at Clackamas Community College. Triple C, go Cougars. So what are your thoughts on this one? Are you expecting a grappling exchange? And why is it that Jacob Malkoun should, if their sort of skill sets are similar, have the better skill set and get us this easy meatlock? Why Malkoun?
Yeah, I like Malkoun in this purely because I think he's the better all-around skill set. Nick is a one-trick pony, sniff crotch, but I think Jacob does it just as good and will nullify, and he should have the stand-up better striking in my opinion. Now, let's be honest, neither one of these guys can finish, a cheeseburger at McDonald's from the Happy Meal because they have zero finishes in the UFC, but definitely going to be a decision, and I think Jacob is going to have the slight edge and has a better gas tank. So all around, this is going to be a very interesting, probably a lackluster fight, but a lock nonetheless. I just see this being, you know, Jacob's level test training with, Whitaker. Who's better than Whitaker beyond Izzy? It's just insane. Training with Nick and Nate Diaz or training with Bobby Knuckles. Let's be honest, Bobby Knuckles on a whole other caliber of a fighter than those two guys. I'm sorry to the Diaz Army guys. But that being said, I think Jacob's just going to win on the ground, on the feet, wherever it goes. I think he's just going to really hold his ground and just be the better fighter.
Yeah, and Maximov, he definitely disappointed most recent. It was a fight against Andre Petrosky where he was a significant favorite and he got tapped out nearly in the first minute. So for someone who was lauded as this just absolute ace on the mat, to get submitted that easily, that easy work versus Petrosky was a little bit concerning for sure. And it makes sense why the odds for him have narrowed. However, I like your point in that. I just think Malkoun is going to be a little bit better at that same game and will have what it takes to get this one done. There is a size advantage for Nick Maximov, but at 27, I think Malkoun is peaking, and I don't know. Even though he'll be the smaller guy in there, he's given up a couple inches in reach and height. I think Malkoun's going to have that strength advantage, and I don't think this is going to be the sexiest fight by any means. Probably just going to be a grapple sesh for sure, but with you, obviously, in that Malkoun, we think has the advantage with that sort of style of fight. So again, it's an underdog meatlock. The meatlock is always the fight on the card that we are the most bullish on, and if it is a dog and we happen to be most bullish, then we're not afraid to make the meatlock an underdog for sure. So we're gonna be throwing down 120 at plus 120 odds. Feels crazy to say for sure. Profits 144. Get us that 61st meatlock. Trying to recover off last week's hiccup, but it stunk nonetheless. And we think Malkoun's the guy that's going to get us back on track. So, any last thoughts on Mamba?
No, love this matchup. Love Mamba in this. Throw in the comments who you got, Mamba or Diaz Army.
What is good, meat boys? Yo, grill that slab. 90% of you guys swooping these picks. You see the numbers, and then dipping on the subscribe button. But either way, we appreciate you MEATBOY MMA. And here we go, Meet UFC Vegas 62, bantamweight beef. It's Victor Henry taking on Rafael Sunsao. And talk about like seizing on an opportunity. Victor Henry just came into the UFC by storm, just took the opportunity and ran with it, right? He was kind of thrown to the wolves. Here's Raoni Barcelos, and he went out and absolutely destroyed Barcelos. Like, it was an amazing performance. So the protege of Josh Barnett, the War Master, although he's late in his MMA career, Victor Henry is off to a great start, and he's taking on Rafael Sunsao, 27-9, who his career is going the other way, right? This guy was a former top five bantamweight, but he's now lost four straight. It's been getting finished, got finished in three of those four, and it's back-to-back KO stiff punch knockout losses. So what are your thoughts on this one? Is Sunsao on the way out, and Victor Henry is going to start to insert himself in these top 10 bantamweight conversations, or you going with the Sunsao to get this one done?
Yeah, this is a great matchup, but RIP Asansao, I think. He's 40 years old. He's on a four-fight skid. He's a big underdog, and you Brazil fans definitely not a bad, take for those odds. But I like the 35-year-old. He's on a great, win streak, 4 wins, 1 loss recently, and he's been looking good. He's been looking sharper than Rafael, sadly, but I don't know. Maybe Rafael could pull it off. I just don't see it just with what we've been seeing recently. Cody Garbrandt somehow took his soul with the YOLO meat bomb, and with the age, and he's got the reach disadvantage and the height disadvantage. I just don't see how Rafael's gonna pull this out. I'm rooting for him because I'm a fan. He's a legend, but I think he's going to BKFC after this fight, sadly.
Yeah, and it's so crazy, right? Because, I mean, if you just look at the resume of a Sunsao, I mean, 2013, 2014, a Sunsao, these wins he's picking up. TJ Dillashaw, Pedro Munoz, has a win over Sterling, has a win over Rob Font. I mean, peak of Sunsao was getting mad W's. And now in 2022, we're picking Victor Henry, who has one UFC fight, one UFC win, and we're still rolling with him over a Sunsao. So it's crazy to see how, how far a Sunsao has fallen and how quickly things can change in MMA. So what are your thoughts on how this fight materializes? Do you think that Victor Henry is going to finish a Sunsao like his other opponents have been doing recently, or is this going to be maybe a close competitive fight, but one where Victor Henry grinds out a decision? How does this end?
I could see it being a close decision, but I think he actually gets the finish. I think Rafael's jaw is a little sus with his age and everything, and Victor's gonna come out swinging, put a staple in it, and say, "Yo, I'm here to play ball." So I think he's gonna come out looking for that meat bomb and finish it early and often.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting a staple in it, ready to play ball indeed. And I'm with you, going Victor Henry, probably by finish, but I don't think I'm in love with the minus 330 spot. I mean, it seems like a lot of juice for La Mangoista, but nonetheless, he should probably get this one done, likely by finish. A Sunsell to BKFC?
Yeah, sad to say, but yeah, BKFC is destined for a Sunsao. I truly think so. Uh, yeah, it's a sad thing to see another legend goes to the beauty of BKFC.
It's UFC Vegas 62, and we got the meat slingers in this one. Grill that slab, slap that meat if you're new before we break it down. But it's the light heavyweights in this one. Meet Alonzo Menefield, aka Atomic Alonzo, taking on Mita Shurkanov. And at 15-8, this is a guy who has been jumping around weight classes. You don't really love to see it. And most recently, it's been just pretty rough for the Canadian Latvian fighter. I mean, he's dropped three straight. Got absolutely smoked by your boy, faux foul Wellington Turman. And before that, he lost to Christoph Jocko. That at middleweight in a fight where I honestly thought that was like the most competitive Serkinov we've seen in the last couple of years, but back at 205 for some reason. And then before that, got absolutely smoked by Superman Span. So makes sense why he's a plus 175 dog against Atomic Alonzo, who has won 3 of 4, 4 of 5, 7 of 9. I mean, the only losses this guy has are two pretty decent fighters, a peak OSP, Devin the Brown Bear Clark early on, and you would love to see that fight ran back at some point. And then he does have the loss to William Knight, which is a little sketchy, probably isn't aging gracefully for sure. But what are your thoughts on how this 205 match plays out? Is Menifeld due to get another statement finish, start to like fight those real top 15, top 10 light heavyweight guys, or is Serkinov ready to just smoke Atomic Alonso?
Yeah, I don't think Sergenov is ready to smoke anyone except maybe someone over at BKFC because that's exactly where I see him going. You know, Alonso had a loss, then he's come off that nice KO first round versus Askar, the future GO, but also maybe he's 10-50. I don't know. His records, that was skewed. That was very bizarre. So hard to say if this is a guaranteed win or not. The odds are pretty wild in my opinion. I don't really see this. In my opinion, I don't think he should be a 2-1 favor. I think maybe, I don't know, a minus 125, 150 because Misha could definitely get this done. He shouldn't, but he definitely could. I mean, if people are basing Menifield's performance off that random bomb he knocked out, I don't know, but hopefully he's gonna ride that train and keep that confidence going, and that's what he needed. Because, like you said, you know, those few losses he had, one didn't age well, but William Knight, that was peak William Knight. Let's be honest, he was a savage then, and he's just been going downhill since. So Alonzo Menifield definitely seems like he has been improving. He's definitely going to have the size. He's definitely going to be a thicker boy, and he should be way stronger than Misha. Misha's a 185er. He's fighting at 205. I don't know. I haven't seen much good from him as we've seen the last three fights. Not the best. So I think this is going to be an early finish. First round, someone's getting finished. And I got to lean with Menifield on this one. I don't like the odds, but I'm definitely going to check out the props to see if they're a little more juicier.
Yeah, very nice. Maybe like some Menifeld finish, maybe early under 2.5. It'd be interesting to see what kind of numbers you're getting for sure. And to your point, Misha is kind of sneaky, right? Where like he loses to a lot of guys, but his finish wins are over guys that you're like, wait a second, Misha Serkinov beat him. Like he had that performance of the night submission over Jimmy Crute. That was very early first round, and also has submission victories over Nikita Krylov, who has been picking up hella victories recently, and your boy Iwan Kute Laba, who loves to get submitted apparently. But nonetheless, those are some pretty decent wins. So like if he went out here and was able to use his BJJ and get a submission over Alonzo Menifield, just inspecting the resume, that wouldn't be the most insane thing for sure. And if we look at Menifield's wins, you touched on his most recent one over Askar Majarov, who the Ukrainian McGregor. No one knows what his true record was, but that guy was absolutely awful. And a lot of the other guys Menifield beat have been pretty awful as well. I mean, wins over Vinicius Mojeda, who never picked up a UFC win. An aging Ed Herman, obviously a lot of love for the OG Ed Herman, but has double-digit losses. And then Fabio Charant, who also isn't good. He does, however, have that nice win over Paul Craig. So we've seen him get the victory over Paul Craig, but to your point, it has been a lot of bumps for sure. I just tend to think that Serkinov, at this point in his career, jumping around weight classes, falls more in that bum category, and Menifield's going to get a finish in this one. I see him smothering him, and I don't know if Serkinov is hopeful to have some sort of advantage on the mat against Menifield. I don't think it's happening because at this point in their careers, Menifield just seems way too strong, way too solid, and I honestly see him having the advantage even on the mat. But I could see Menifield cracking him with something on the feet early and then finishing it down there, or just smother like he's been doing recently and grind something out over Misha Serkinov. But with you all the way, gonna take Menifield. I like the idea by finish. So any last thoughts?
No, great point. And yeah, I like the finish just like you on this. You guys throw in the comments who you got. You got Alonzo by KO, or does Misha somehow grind this one out?
Let's go. More absolute beef in this one. Grill that slab and check out this breakdown. Askar Askarov 14-1-1, taking on our boy, the Raw Dog, Brandon Royval, who you never know what you're going to get with Brandon Royval because he's a guy who is just so well-rounded everywhere. I mean, he's 14-6 overall on a nice little win streak, but even those fights where he lost, like he was very close to winning, or there was some maybe a little bit of controversy associated with it. And Raw Dog is just a clear UFC talent, and so is Askar Askarov. So can't wait to see how this plays out because we know Askarov is just an absolute takedown monster. I mean, he only has that lone blemish on his career was when he lost most recently to Kai Kara France, and that was a close fight. A lot of people thought Askar did enough to win that one, and besides that split draw versus Brandon Moreno, he's beat everyone else, and he's a takedown decision machine. I mean, he's a little slow on the feet. Like, I'm curious to get your thoughts, but I think Roy Val has a decided stand-up advantage in this one for sure. And then also to touch on Roy Val, I mean, this is a guy who has some slick submissions from the ground. I mean, the submission finishes that he was able to get over Tim Elliott, over Matt Schnell most recently, and then also against Kai Kara France, who he rocked and then ultimately got in that absolutely beautiful submission. I mean, the dude is well-rounded, but he's got pretty bad takedown defense. Like, if we remember, Pantoja took him down at will. Tim Elliott took him down at will. Bontarine almost got like double-digit takedowns, and in a lot of those fights, Royval was still able to win, but he was taken down. So, what are your thoughts on how Askarov's takedown efficiency is going to play out versus the deficient takedown defense of Royval? But do you think that it's going to be enough to get the victory, or does Royval get taken down perhaps, but still get the victory? Who are you taking?
Yeah, this is such a fun fight because Royval, like you said, he's so well diverse in all aspects from the grappling. I would say more so jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't say he's a strong wrestler, right? Like as you said, he doesn't have the best wrestling takedown defense. Askar is a heavy wrestler, kind of a one-trick pony. His gas tank can be a little sus. It does seem like, when he fought Kai Kara that he started to fade a good amount near the end, and then Kai Kara kind of just put a clinic on after the second round, for that third round. And as we know, MMA math doesn't work, but Rory Val smoked Kai Kara after almost being sent to the Shadow Realm, came back, dropped him, and then got the nice submission. So if that's what happened to Kai Kara and Kai Kara beat Askar, he should beat Askar as a lock. But I love the odds. I love the 2-to-1 dog. I mean, you gotta love to see these things because Royval can absolutely get this done. He can knock out Askar first round. As we saw, Askar can get wobbled. Kaikar did it many times throughout their fight, and Royval is definitely known to drop people and get them wobbling and get the nice submission or whatever way to get them out. Royval's recent loss, Brandon Moreno, and Alexander Pangero, and dude, no shame in that. Both those guys are insane, and they've been just looking insane. I mean, they only lose the Figgy basically. So I think Royval's been really leveling up. And I don't know. I just after seeing that last performance of Askar, it just didn't tickle my pickle to where I can pick him, especially as a 2-to-1 favor. I gotta lean Royval. Those odds are juicy, and I actually think that Royval could dominate this whole thing because even let's say Askar gets a takedown. Royval does not stop. He's working submissions. He's fighting from the bottom. He's kind of like peak Tony Ferguson in my opinion, where he's always working, and no matter if you're trying to smother him, he's just gonna beat the crap out of you from the bottom if that's what you want, and he'll get that submission or he'll get that KO later. So this is gonna be a very fun fight. I don't see. Only way Askar is going to win is if somehow he can sniff crotch for 3 rounds and not take too much damage, but I just don't see it. Royval's like a wiggly worm, and he's just going to wiggle his way to victory.
Yeah, great stuff. I think a flyweight Ferguson is a very great comparison. Peak flyweight Ferguson for sure. And if we look over at Tapology, again, Askarov a minus 240 favorite, Royval plus 200. Tapology singing a similar song. 75% is rolling with Askar, majority beige, rolling with that decision, and 25% is rolling with Raw Dog. Majority is Copper, but you said maybe he cracks him on the feet. I don't think that'd be the craziest thing in the world either, because Royval can absolutely crack, and then once he's a shark, right? And once he smells that blood in the water, he's going straight for your neck, and it's going to be either lights out or you're unable to breathe via his suffocation because Royval is a true finisher, always out there trying to make a statement, spit some hot fire on the mic afterwards, and really entertain the crowd for sure. So I like the idea at plus 200. Very great value, right? He's got the height and reach advantage. They're both 30 years old. Do you draw any parallels between these odds and this fight with Mackenzie Dern and Yan Xiaonan last week? I mean, we both picked Yan, same thing, about plus 200, 2-to-1. Seen any parallels with this fight?
No, 100%. I feel like this is the exact same scenario when it comes to picks slash betting. Is both these guys are killers, just like Jan and Dern. Dern probably could get a submission, wouldn't be surprising, but I think her opponent, as a 2-to-1 dog, definitely has what it takes to win to get that upset. Same thing here. Askar could absolutely sniff crotch for 3 rounds and it could be a smother session. Wouldn't surprise me, but I think Royval is too good and good enough and has fought good enough fighters to let a one-trick pony like Askar to dominate him. So I think this is another juicy value dog pick, and I love picking Raw Dog for this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm rolling Raw Dog at that plus 200 dog. I mean, I think that if Askarov gets this done, that's not the craziest thing in the world. Askarov, he might be a one-trick pony, but he is a dominant stallion with that one trick. So if he's able to sort of use that skill set over Royval, maybe just keep that top pressure, because again, we know that Royval will succumb to takedowns. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out on the ground. Like, is Askar going to be able to smother him, or is Royval going to be slick enough to move out of it? That's the question for sure. But I'm with you. Gonna go Royval. Maybe even decision though. Like perhaps it's possible that he grinds this thing out across 15. But yeah, do you think it's a Royval finish?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a Royval finish, or it could be even a split, but I really like Royval by finish. I'm going to like those odds. I'm definitely picking Royval just on the money line, but also I'm looking for those props. Those should be extra juicy. But yeah, I really just like it in this one a lot.
Good stuff. Yeah, we're both going Royval. Let us know in the comments down low. Are you taking the Raw Dog as well, or does Askar Ashraf get that 15th win, reinsert himself in those top three conversations, and perhaps get a looming title shot next? Let us know your thoughts. It's the UFC Vegas 62 co-meet event, and it's an absolute banger. I cannot wait for this one. Slap the meat if you're new here. If you're looking for locks and laughs, MEATBOY MMA is providing for sure. So who are you taking in this one, Meat? I can't wait to get your thoughts. Cub Swanson versus Jonathan Martinez. Some call him the Dragon. However, we know that Lyoto Machida is obviously the true Dragon in the UFC. But nonetheless, he's on a 3-fight win streak, that being Dragon Martinez. And he looked very impressive most recently against Vince Morales. I mean, the guy has won 5 of 6 fights. The only loss was a meatlock just happened to be, and it was a fight where he was winning the first round, looking very good against Dangerous Davey Grant, and then ultimately just got absolutely slept by Dangerous Dave in that one. But it's his only blemish recently. He does have early UFC losses to Andre Ewell and Andre Soccer Mom, so he doesn't have great luck against the Andres, and those are some bad losses. But he's taking on the legend Cub Swanson, who at 28-12, what he just did most recently against Darren the Damage Elkins, I thought was like the best Cub Swanson. I don't know if I want to say that we've ever seen, but definitely that we've seen in the last 5 years. I mean, it took him like 2 minutes. He absolutely smoked the Damage Elkins, and we know Darren the Damage as a guy who can accumulate just that damage. But Cub Swanson managed to finish him early and often. Just beautiful combinations, like almost reminded me of Donald Cowboy Cerrone over Rick Story. Just beautiful timing, insane finish in that one, and I was pretty impressed. And the only question I have though is peak almost Cub Swanson just a couple months ago at 145 is now dropping to 35 late in his career. Being asked to take on Dragon Martinez in a co-meet. I don't know. We can rifle off the resume of Cub Swanson all day, but right away, I mean, what are your thoughts on him dropping to 35? Is that going to work out in his favor, or is this a bad idea and the Dragon's going to smoke him? Who are you taking?
Yeah, this is a very good matchup. I'm just a little concerned with Cubs cutting to 135 for this debut. Jonathan Martinez has been looking great, like you said, 3-fight win streak, looking absolutely phenomenal, performancing, and um, I don't know. It's definitely a lot of question marks, but like you said, he's been looking great at 145. I'm not sure why he moved down, to be honest, but uh, man, I don't know. Me personally, I think it's going to come down to the weight cut and the face-off. But as of right now, I'm going to pick Jonathan Martinez. But I do like Cub as a nice plus 170 dog. I mean, Cub's been looking great his last 4 fights. I mean, the Giga kick, not much really happened in that fight. If they run it back, Would it be the same? I don't know. Giga looked insane from that fight and then soon got decrowned and demoralized a fight later. So we don't really
Mhm.
know if Giga is the real deal or not. But I think Jonathan Martinez is going to have the advantage and possibly maybe even the strength. It just depends how the weight cut goes, to be honest. This is such a tough one to call. Cub should be bigger, but maybe not. It just depends on how he cuts, right? Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, Cub did beat, the GOAT Artem Lobov, so I can't really put anything past him. So this should be a good fight. But I'm just gonna lean Jonathan Martinez just slightly, purely from age, and it seems that he's starting to peak right now and really have this up trajectory. So if he can get through Cub, I think he's gonna have a title fight in one, maybe two more fights. But he's right there.
Yeah, he is right there and seemingly getting better every fight. Like you wonder if that dangerous Davy loss maybe was a good thing for his career because he does seem to have turned a page, turned a new leaf, and is looking like an absolute monster for sure. And just to kind of elaborate, just to expand on, Swanson's recent resume, he has been looking good at 45, right? I mean, he had the fight of the night finish over Kron Gracie. That was in a co-meet and essentially sent. We haven't seen Kron Gracie since then, basically, and he also has that performance tonight, again, as mentioned, over Elkins. And a win over Daniel Pineda, where he was like a 3-1 dog in that one as well. They only lost to Giga, nailed him with that Giga Chad kick, and essentially just sucked the air out of Cub Swanson for sure. But this is just a great levels test. I just love your point of it's tough to predict on, we're recording this on Tuesday without seeing what this weight cut is going to look like. Is Cub Swanson this late in his career really going to be sucked out wearing that cut to 35? Or has it been just a absolutely perfect cut where he's completely retooled, retailored his lifestyle and is going to make this cut with ease? Tough to determine on Tuesday, right? So I hear your points for sure. And if we look at Tapology, 43% is still rolling with Cub, even at 135. So I don't want to say I'm surprised to see Cub getting over 40%, but I guess I would have expected a little bit more love for Martinez. And 57% is rolling with the Dragon. Majority beige going for that decision. If you're going with Martinez, do you think he gets a finish in this one? And might it be gnarly? Because I don't know, if Cub doesn't win this fight, that to me says that it was a bad cut and he maybe got slept. Am I tripping?
Yeah, I think if Martinez does win, it is by KO. Especially because who knows how this weight cut goes. He's cutting. I mean, it's crazy that he even makes 145. Cubs pretty lean and shredded and big for that division. Let alone 135. So I don't know if he's, hitting up the EPO, CEO of EPO or whatnot, but it'll be interesting to see him at 38 making this kind of a weight cut. Like that's just mind blowing. Very rare do you see someone at that age making big weight cuts. Usually they're bulking up because at that age you start to not really have the ability or the mental game of just like, is this even worth it? Might as well just fight at my normal weight cut. So props to him for doing this. Where's Waldo did it, but Waldo's also way younger. So I don't know. This will be very interesting. But yeah, this is a tough one to call. It just all comes down to this weight cut. But as of now, I'm leaning Martinez.
Yeah, and who knows? Perhaps the Jose Waldo comp is a good one because when Aldo went to bantamweight, we saw some of his best performances at 35 at the tail end of his career, right? So in this one, we were discussing it earlier. I said that I would pick Cub Swanson if this fight was at 145, and it's at 135. I like the points that the entire story is going to be about the weight cut, but ultimately, I think Cub Swanson is a professional. He's going to get this weight cut done, and ultimately, I got to pick him against Jonathan the Dragon Martinez. Like, I don't know. The Cub Swanson that I saw against Darren Elkins, that guy looked like a true levels test for many, many dudes in the UFC, and that dude to me was someone who could compete and likely beat Dangerous Davy Grant. So you hate to always reference MMA math, but if Dangerous Davy is sleeping the Martinez great gravy train, then I think the gravy train is getting slept by Cub Swanson in this one. So I gotta roll with Cub, but I don't know. It's if Martinez gets it done, then obviously that's not shocking as well. But story of the week gotta be the weight cut. So excited to see for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Throw in the comments who you got. You going with Cubby or the Dragon?
It's the meat event. Slap that meat if you're new here. Me, who are you going with in this one? Are you taking Alexa Grasso, who at 14-3 seemingly is peaking on a beautiful 3-fight win streak and showing the company that she deserves a main event? I mean, what an opportunity for Alexa Grasso and her opponent Viviane Araújo at 11-3. I mean, she's also looking nice recently. She's won 3 of 4. Most recently, she fought Andrea KGB Lee, and you love to see Andrea KGB Lee get absolutely dominated, and that she did against Araujo. And I think that was Araujo's best performance we've seen from her in the UFC, and that's pretty high praise given that she has a nice 5-2 record. She does have that loss over Jessica Eye, but that was early on in her career, and one where Jessica Eye missed weight by a significant margin, so something to consider for sure. And then the other loss is to Caitlin Chukagian, and we know Chukagian essentially beats everyone unless it's like a title fight. She's the ultimate gatekeeper of gatekeepers. In fact, I mean, she's fighting Manuel Figueroa coming up, so that should be an amazing contest for sure. But nonetheless, Araujo also probably peaking and given the same exact opportunity as Grasso in this one. So who are you rolling with? Tapology is pretty bullish on Grasso. Vegas is equally as bullish. Any chance Araujo gets this done, or is this the Grasso coming out party?
Yeah, this is the Grasso coming out party, and I think she's going to absolutely destroy her any which way it goes. The ground, the feet, whatever. I think this is stay on the feet for the most part, but Grasso, in my opinion, probably has one of the crispest stand-up games in that division. I mean, she has just been looking so good. It blows my mind, and honestly, I love to see it when a fighter just is all right, mediocre, and then they go up to their true weight class and they start seeing their full potential. I mean, ever since she got mauled by Carla Esparza at 115, she made the bump up in weight to 125, and she's been on a 3-fight tear. And that Macy Barber win, she dominated her from beginning to end, and Macy has been absolutely destroying girls. So that is a very nicely aged win, and she beat Joanne Wood very convincingly. Got the easy sub real quick, early and often, and I think this is going to be a similar fight where I just think the age 29, 35, one girl's on her way out, one girl's on her way up, and I think the person going up to the top is Grasso, and she should be getting a title fight probably after this fight, or maybe one more, but I think she's right there.
Yeah, she is right there, and someone who clearly is getting obviously better. And you mentioned the turning point being that majority loss versus Carla Esparza. And if we remember, that was the fight of the night, right? I mean, Alexa Grasso, even though she was on the short end of the stick for that contest, she had her moments. She was very competitive, and she kind of woke up a lot of people and essentially said, yo, like, maybe I'm not there beating Carla Esparza just yet in 2019, but catch me in 2, 3, 4 years when I'm truly peaking, and we'll see what she's made of for sure. And I think the UFC is pretty bullish on her. I mean, she's obviously quite marketable. Her English skills have vastly improved throughout these last few years, which is always fun to see. Like you expect the fighters to make those gains inside the cage, but to see them also putting in the language development skills outside of the octagon as well is a testament to their hard work, in my opinion. And so you love to see that. And the UFC, again, giving her this beautiful opportunity. And you mentioned how it's cool to see someone just like noticeably get better before our eyes. Like she kind of reminds me of like a flyweight Jake Matthews, right? Like Jake Matthews just floating around, losing some, winning some, and then most recently he just absolutely smokes Fiallo, and we're like, yo, who the heck is this guy? I feel like Alexa Grasso is making those similar gains, and I got to roll with you in this one. I think she has enough to take out Viviane Araujo. However, I do think Araujo is a tough woman, and if Araujo maybe can steal a round or two, she could potentially keep this thing competitive, keep it interesting for sure, but I just worry about her gas tank, especially in the later stages of the fight. And I've never seen Alexa Grasso struggle with any sort of issues of the like. And so I honestly think that if this thing hits the 4th or 5th round, maybe Grasso finish in those later stages could be a sharp play. But nonetheless, gonna roll with Alexa Grasso nonetheless. And it looks like 90% of Tapology is rolling the same. Most by decision, though. So are you in agreement with Tapology that decision is most likely for Grasso, or could a sneaky finish be in the works here?
I could totally see a finish on the feet. I mean, she got a sub last fight, so maybe even that wouldn't surprise me. But decision makes the most sense. A lot of times with these women fights, you usually go to decision unless they're just absolute killers, like Andrade. She either gets finished or she gets a finish. I feel like, it's just one of those weird kind of matchup. But I think that this is going to go decision most likely, but I would really like to see a KO because that would, I think, really bump her to the next level of, wow, let's pump the stock, let's get her to a title fight, because who else is there at 125? Let's be honest. She has a great performance, a great finish. I don't see why she wouldn't get a title fight.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that if she does get an impressive finish, then for sure title fight's got to be next. And if she is able to finish Viviane Araujo, that would be impressive because no one has in the UFC. However, she did get finished by Sarah Frota in her pre-UFC career, and we saw Sarah Frota in the UFC. She was awful. So Grasso potentially could be the second one to get this finish over Araujo. So with you all the way, obviously taking Alexa Grasso. I'm even going to say by finished meet. I think that there's going to be some juicy numbers there, and maybe that's how we can sprinkle the sauce because at minus 205, probably a parlay piece, but maybe a little bit too much juice to play it straight up. But nonetheless, in this meet event, got to roll with Grasso, and pretty excited for it. Not going to lie, this is a great opportunity for both of them. Any last thoughts?
No, absolutely. Great opportunity. Can't wait. Throw in the comments who you got. You got Vivi or Garazo.